This episode contains references to physical abuse and sexual assault. Please listen with care. Welcome to the TELUS Originals DocTalks, a series of talks dedicated to craft, themes, and ideas behind TELUS Originals documentaries with the people behind and in front of the camera. I am your host, Sabrina Rani Furminger, and for this episode, we'll be talking to Francheska Dynamites about Francheska Prairie Queen. Francheska Prairie Queen was directed by Laura O'Grady. The film follows the journey of a Filipino care worker, Francis Kiko Utrago, as he tries to achieve drag star superstardom while still working 3 jobs, financially supporting his family back in the Philippines. Kiko's mission is complicated by the fact that he and his fiancée Cody are the only openly gay couple in a tiny Bible Belt town in southern Alberta. When a typhoon hits his parents' house back home, Kiko relies on his drag persona, Francheska Dynamites, to bring in the extra cash they desperately need. There is plenty to discuss where Francheska Prairie Queen is concerned, like the long reach of intergenerational trauma, the challenges faced by immigrants to Canada, and the joy and freedom that unfolds on screen whenever Kiko transforms into Francheska Dynamites. And we will talk about a lot of this today. But before we do, it is my great honor to tell you about the subject of Francheska Prairie Queen, Francheska Dynamites herself. Francheska Dynamites is drag royalty. She was the pageant queen in the Miss Philippines Canada Queen Pride and Queen of Canada Tourism Pageant. And in 2019, she was a finalist in Alberta's Next Drag Superstar. Francheska is also one of the featured creatives from the Sugar Mama TV reality show from the team at Indigikins Productions. What an honor to speak with this royalty today. Francheska Dynamites, welcome to TELUS Originals DocTalks.
Hi, Sabrina. Thank you.
I have to say, of all the episodes that we've recorded, you have the most sparkliest background. It's giving me life. Francheska Dynamites is a very beautiful name. What was your inspiration for this name?
Well, when I did my first ever drag show in Tabor, the first Tabor Pride, I don't have a drag name. And, my real name is Francis. And then after my first performance, people were so surprised about my performance. So they said, you should name you something explosion because you're like a bomb on the stage. So that's when I got the name Dynamites. And then Francheska is from my real name, Francis, because back in the Philippines, when I was still in high school, people will crack me out, bully me, and tease me. Instead of calling me Francis, they will call me Francheska or Cheska. It's a one-way of outing me in the public. So now I want to take it back, own it, and I want to have a first name Francheska and last name Dynamites.
Oh, beautiful. And we're going to talk about so much today. I am so excited. Everything about drag, about Filipino culture, and also about the making of this particular film. But because you've already mentioned it, let's start with the drag performance then. How did you get involved in drag? How did you end up on that first stage?
Well, I started as a backup dancer and a volunteer at the Lethbridge Pride Society. Okay. And then there is a LGBT theater there at Theater O3, or we call it Club Didi. And then Dione, which I also call my mama or drag mama, a theater actress, that one of the co-founder of Theater O3. She's looking for a drag performer at Tabor Pride and said, Kiko or Francis, why don't you try to do drag? And it was just a joke. Then I realized maybe I should. So I just signed up and I got a help from my Filipino friends and some local queens. They lent me their hair. Somebody did my makeup. And I think the things that I owned at the time is high heels, underwear, and the top. The rest are borrowed.
But that's pretty
Yeah.
remarkable though, that like you volunteered and then you are there and you are on that stage. I mean, it's almost like you were at all these things were happening to bring you to that moment. What did it feel like though, that very first time on stage? Do you remember what was going through your mind at all?
Well, it was an Philippines Independence Day, June 12, which
Yeah.
the first Tabor Pride, the same day of Philippines Independence Day. So there were a lot of Filipinos in Tabor that drove all the way from Lethbridge to come and support me. And I think I have like 4 or 5 backup dancers from the Filipino community, and they were so excited to watch them perform. So it was fun. I just had a great time. People are just cheering and, having a great time. So it was memorable for me. I don't feel like I was scared or intimidated.
Yeah.
And after that, that's when I feel like, okay, I really like to perform. Maybe I should continue doing drag.
Yeah, I mean, I'm very glad you did, because you're just such a joy to watch. Before we move on from that very first performance, though, what was the song that you were performing to? What was the music choice?
Crazy in Love by Beyonce and a mashup of Bebot by Black Eyed Peas.
Come on. I mean, that is like, you have royalty right there. Actually, Black Eyed Peas, they have Filipino member, right?
Yeah.
So,
Yep.
so has your look and your performances changed since that very first performance?
Well, I really don't know how to do makeup before. So, I really don't know how to do makeup. I think we all have that experience that we start somewhere.
Mm-hmm.
We borrow makeup. We don't know how to blend. So if I look back at my old photos, I just don't like it.
Yeah.
The pictures and, the way I do my makeup is not that really good. But every time I perform, I compete, and I hang out with other drag queens and look at their face closely at the backstage, I'm able to get some tips. So I learned through experience, watch tutorial on YouTube. So if I look at the difference before now and then, I think my makeup now is more polished. And I also joined a pageantry in the Filipino community, and then they love a look there that's our glamorous, beautiful, and pretty. So I mix up the drag and the glam in the pageantry. So that's my aesthetic in my drag. That's my persona in drag. Like I have the glamorous, the elegance of being a pageant queen, but a total performer as a drag queen.
Fantastic. When you step on stage, maybe like right before you step on stage, like what are you looking forward to about stepping on stage? Because as somebody who watched your performances in this film, I felt like every time that you step on stage, like I was just watching like joy, personified, and joy in, for you, and then also joy for the people that are watching you. But can you tell us a little bit about like what is going on in your head, and what you're feeling and what you're thinking, as you are performing?
Well, when I perform in drag, I always make sure I rehearse. I have a choreography, and I make sure I plan from costume. So I'm always prepared. Mm-hmm. So when I am on the stage, I'm also observing the stage, the blocking. That's how I am. Like if you are a dancer, a performer, if you have a background in dancing, you always look for the stage, like the blockings. So what you can do when the time you get on the stage and play the music, you know how to control the stage, you know how to maximize and utilize the space. So I'm not just waiting for my name to be called, but I'm already working on my choreography on the top of my head while I'm at the backstage looking at the stage. So when I get there, I already know how to run through my performance and engage with the crowd. Still working in my head while I'm still waiting at the backstage. That's usually I have in my head.
Yeah, it is so much work.
Yeah.
Yeah. And in what ways do you bring the Filipino culture into your performance? I asked this as somebody who, before we started recording, I was telling you I'm part of a Filipino extended family. Singing is a huge part of our life. Dancing, we do karaoke all the time. There's always the cousins performing. Like, I like, in what ways did that, like, did that aspect of Filipino culture at all? Like, has that informed the kind of work that you do on stage as Francheska?
What was the question again?
Well, like, I know I was a bit of a word salad there. Like, when you were growing up in the Philippines, were you dancing? Were you singing? You know, is that one of the ways that you prepared, for your life as Francheska?
Well, growing up back in the Philippines, we always have a festival, like almost every year. Even at school, cultural event festival is part of our Filipino culture. Yeah. Like almost every month there is an event, and we love to participate. And when I was a kid, I remember my mom already signed up me for pageant, but not for the female, but like as a Francis or Kiko.
Yeah.
And then my mom also was a pageant queen when back on her 20s. And then a lot of pageant queens in our communities. But it's not for the LGBTQ plus.
Right.
It's not until like I grew up like when I was like high school or college that I saw a pageant queen on television. But when I was elementary, there's some pageantry happening in school, high school, elementary. And I'm always involved. I just love to perform. I love to dance, folk dance, Filipino cultural dance. And every time we have a festival, there's always a karaoke. Filipino love to party.
So much.
Yeah, it's like like even if it's just a simple celebration in the house or a birthday, we always have at least 10 different kind of food or dishes, and there's always a karaoke machine and the music. And then the way we celebrate Christmas and New Year, it's overnight, and then there's a firework, like loud music. We just love to party. So music is part of our Filipino culture, and entertainment is always been part of my life when I grew up. So I love dancing. I love dancing. I love performing. It's one of my outlets to distress myself from studying on, growing up, feel like secluded because, I was bullied from the very young age for being so effeminate. But when I joined the dance, they see the other side of me. Oh, he got a talent. So they divert the bullying instead of attacking me for my expression. And they were impressed about my talent. So I do dancing, I do taekwondo, volleyball, martial arts. So I'm very active.
Wow.
I was high school. So it's really part. So art's really part of myself when I grew up. Not until I moved to Canada, I've been exposed to drag and then pageantry. And I also saw the opportunity that, okay, I really want to be on the stage as well. And I don't find any platform here in Southern Alberta that do hip hop or folk dances, except for the drag. It's so popular. And then the Filipino community here doing pageantry. So I see myself like maybe I can divert and bring my talent to the stage.
Well, I'm glad you did. In the Philippines, though, is there a drag scene at all in the Philippines?
I think there was, but I wasn't aware because I grew up in Dinagat Island. It's like one of the newest isolated island in the Philippines. But maybe if you grow in the city, there's drag. Actually, there's actually drag in the Philippine television. We just don't call them drag queen because growing up in the Philippines, watching our noontime show, I saw some male actor pretend like a woman, dress up like a woman, and they do it for comedy as a host in a movie or in the TV show. But I didn't know it's a drag. We just don't call them drag. Just call them actor and comedian. But now that I know what it is, I was like, oh, we've been entertaining drag for a very long time back in the Philippines. We just didn't realize it's a drag.
Yeah, that's fantastic. I want to talk, we will in a bit talk a little bit more about your arrival in Canada. But before we do, what is something about being a drag queen that people who aren't drag queens would be surprised to know about it?
Well, I'll start with my community in the Filipino community. I get a lot of this misconception that they think that if you're a drag, you're a trans, you want to be a transition in a woman. They think drag is a gender. So I still get it once in a while in the Filipino community because it's not really talked about. So So I use this an opportunity that drag is an expression, is an art. That means anybody can be a drag. It's not just the LGBTQ plus or the queer. That means even my mom, my dad, or my brother, or my sibling, they can be a drag. This is just an art form, an expression. It has nothing to do with gender and sexual orientation. And there's so many styles of drag. Doesn't mean you see this kind of drag queen somewhere else that is so risky and so sexy. It doesn't mean the entire drag community I like that. Drag is like an actor. For me, in my opinion, drag is an art, and it's also a bracket or a section of an actor. Because when I perform, let's say I am in the library, when I have to read a book for the children, I have to switch my mindset, my language, my choice of words, and my outfit. So you have to internalize, okay, you're going to read a book for the children in a family event, so you need to act differently. So even if there's a book in front of you, you have to internalize that you have this role. Now, if you're going to put me in the bar performing in 18 plus years old, there's a lot of drag. They like banger music, good music. So you have to switch your mind.
Yeah.
So you have to give them what they want in the event. So I can pick some, unfiltered music, uncensored music. I can definitely I can go wild. So there's a switch in the personalities, just like actors. We switch personality. It depends on the role that we're trying to portray when we perform. But we are more on a independent. We don't rely on the director.
Yeah.
We're the one who direct. We create our costume, we choreograph, and we create our persona from head to toe.
It's incredible. I mean, what the work that goes into, the costumes and just the walking in the shoes and learning the makeup and the choreography and everything. Like it's even like at a level above actor, right? Because you're, visual artist, as well. Okay, one more question. I don't know. I'm just so excited to talk about what it means to be a drag performer. When you were getting ready to step, before you go to the stage, you're sitting at your table and you're doing, your makeup and everything. What is the last thing that you do when you are getting ready that makes you feel complete and ready to perform?
I usually do humming.
Yeah.
Also, like you bubble your lip like that to relax your face and your muscles. Because even if we don't sing, we still have to open our mouth and lip sync, and then we need to use our face as a facial expression to connect to the audience. So I need to relax it because I still feel nervous. Before I step into the stage. So I do that. I do humming and listen to the music. I just hum, vibrate those muscles in my neck, in my lips, in my jawline. And then when I get there, the music comes on, and then the magic started to begin.
And I love that you mentioned that you go to libraries and you read to kids at drag storytime events. Kids must just be like captivated by you. That must be very special to do that.
Yeah, it is. I was intimidated, to be honest, when I do drag reading for the children, because I never been exposed when I was kids with the drag. I just didn't realize that I'd been watching drag in the television, but not in the person, like face to face.
Right.
And I was also scared because, what's going on in the political things, that rally, that like a drag queen going to the children. So it's kind of intimidated to me. And if I have to be honest, it's not like my first choice if I'm going to push. If I have to choose, like if you want to be performing a bar and there's an offer for you to drag reading for the children, I would probably go to the bar first.
Really?
I probably decline. It's just like there's still a scared. I'm still scared a little bit, just a little bit. That means I'm aware of what's happening. And for me, there's a more responsibility when I do the drag reading for the children, because I have to switch my mind, my costumes. Like I want to make sure that when I go there, I present it modest, like I have to make sure that they're gonna bring home nothing but love
Yeah.
and beauty, and I don't want to make a mistakes in front of the children and the family. I don't want to disappoint the family, and that's too much pressure. Unlike in the bar, you can just play the music. I don't care what you guys thinking. You're here to party. For me, there's so much pressure for doing it for the children. However, the innocence of the children when you watch them, they are mesmerized with the colors, with the beauty, and they focus and pay attention to what you said when you read the books. And
you know what's amazing though? You're probably, because you're giving them such a good experience, you like these kids and these families leave and they just be like, wow, drag performers are amazing, majestic. Wow. You know, it's like it is a big responsibility, but it's also, there's a lot of power there. It's very beautiful. What is your favorite book to read? Do they choose the book or do you choose the book?
They choose the book. Lately I've been reading about the rainbow. There's oh my god, I'm so bad in reading. I don't read. I think I'm really bad in memorizing book. That's why I don't want to upgrade in schooling anymore. Because
it's fine. You hold the book.
You just have to follow and read it. But there was a story about rainbow. It's more on the colors. When I do drag reading, I will pick the book that has less words, less reading, but more figures. The like one sentence, go to the next slide, another sentence. I just request that to the library. Don't give me so much word in the books. Just give me the simple, straightforward, and give the other books to the other queen.
I love that. I think that's great. You know your audience too, right? They just want to, they like the pictures. They just like you. They don't need you to read
you just have books with energy and character in it. Like try to read. And if there's so much word, like a one paragraph, I might lose what does it mean.
Yeah. You can ask the kids and have some fun with that.
Yeah.
So I want to go back to your arrival in Canada then. Where was your entry point? Did you go straight to the prairies? And what was your first impression of Canada?
Well, my first job was a live-in caregiver nanny. So my employer is from Edmonton. So I was a private caregiver for this family. They have children. The husband has a diabetic. So I did a lot of domestic job at home and watch the children and making sure the house is tidy up. So when I arrived Canada, I was expecting that, those tall buildings, like very Hollywood and LA. But when I arrived, it's like so flat. And it's just cold. The houses look identical, the colors, because it was in Edmonton, and then from the airport, from somewhere in Red Deer going to Edmonton, those are like so wide prairie. Wow. So it was kind of depressing because September is fall, and then the next month is winter and cold. And Edmonton has a very cold winter.
Yeah, so Edmonton's like the most northern city, right? Yes. Like of the big cities in Canada. Yes. You can see the northern lights from Edmonton. Oh boy.
So it was a definite experience. It was a big shift from tropical country to a cold country, and it's just quiet. I just noticed that people don't really engage each other. Like people are so busy. Most of the houses look like empty. People are going to work. You see them in the afternoon when they get home. It's just so sad.
Yeah. So what did you do then? Like, how did you, especially because you had that part of you that is like, I want to be around people. I want to connect. I'm here in Canada. Like how did you find your people?
I was 6 months and I was on my first 3 or 4 months of my employer. Most of the time I stay at home. So after I clean the house, I shovel the porch, and then when I shovel, I also start shoveling the neighborhood. So there's like 4 houses that I shovel and didn't know that it was me shoveling the porch. Wow! So from October, November, December for 3 months winter until January, February, I keep shoveling. I guess I think 1 month or 2 months like. I keep shoveling the neighborhood because when I get out of my employer house after putting all the layers, you're done shoveling the front porch. I don't want to go back and pick it up. So I'm already warm up inside. It's a good
Yeah.
workout. So I saw 3 houses so far. I shoveled the porch, their steps, and I keep shoveling. And then around 4 o'clock in the afternoon, I watch in the window and watch the reaction when they go home. Like, oh my God, our front porch is so good. Who did this? It's just a joy to watch their reaction when they get home from work. Who shovel our front porch? But I can't hear them. But you can see from the distance, like I'm peeking in my window. I watch them when they arrive from work. Like who shovel my front porch? I feel like I was a snow angel. I didn't know that
You
term.
were.
And
Absolutely.
I didn't know that word exists until I read the newspaper. Like there's a snow angel. Vote your nominate your snow angel, but I don't want to get involved. I just want to shovel because I need to work. So that's what I do. Like I shovel the backyard, the step during the winter.
That is beautiful. Wow, what a difference. What is something that you wish that Canadians who aren't Filipino knew about Filipino culture?
Can you say it again? I'm sorry.
Yeah, because there's I'm imagining that you might be meeting people in Canada who don't know anything about Filipino culture. What is something that you wish that they knew about the culture?
I think because I'm aligned with performing and arts, I wish Canadian people realize that art is not just about music or performing, but arts and culture is what really makes you sane, especially living in this country for around 14 years. We have a long winter. Some people experience blues, and these Filipinos survive here, even if this is not our home. That's because we Filipinos, we connect to people, we socialize. I do not believe in a saying that it is nice when you experience to be alone, it's become powerful. No, I don't think that sounds powerful that you survive to be alone and can eat by yourself in the restaurant. For me, that sounds depressing. You need to go out. You need to connect to people. You need to engage. I think Canadian is so what do you call that one? They're scared to offend other people.
Yes.
Very private. They like to mind their own business, which is good. They like to take the space to the point that you guys put so much boundaries from one another, and you didn't realize you're putting boundaries that you forgot to socialize.
Right.
Like loosen up, relax. Like there's so much time for you to be alone when you turn 60 years old. When you get to the nursing home, because I work in a nursing home, and it's so sad when you get to that point. I work in a nursing home for 7 years. A lot of our elderly Canadian people don't get a lot of visitors. They want to get out, but it's too late. You are here for a reason. So while you can and young, go out, socialize, engage, learn other people's culture, try to experience other culture, food, try to listen to different music, try to learn different languages, engage, try to loosen up. I know we're very politically right in here, but that's thing, it's what make you guys here, what do you call that one? Fight, divide.
Yeah.
Like there's the right time for yes, we have a different culture, belief, and politics, but don't bring it to your table. Don't bring it to your family.
Yeah.
Don't bring it to your friendship. It divides all of you. At the end of the day, this politician don't care about your opinion. Care about your family, your friends. Stay together. Appreciate other culture. Connect. Go out. Other sports or music. Go out because a long winter is so depressing. That's why a lot of people here, I notice, they go depressed, have an anxiety and mental illness because there's lack of activities and you guys need to go out.
Yeah, go out, build community, and if you ever have the chance to be invited to a Filipino party, go.
Oh,
You will eat well, you will have fun, and you'll be invited back the next weekend. I guarantee it. One of the wonderful things about the film, and I want to move into talking about the film now, is that we get to see so much about what is important, to you. We get to see the culture. We get to see you perform. We get to see your adorable relationship, with Cody. We get to see the drag barn. There's a lot we get to see in your film. How did you meet Laura?
Well, I was performing at Medicine Hat Pride.
Okay.
And I think that time Laura was doing a film about conversion therapies, queer Alberta, or small town queer. At that time, so she need to get some footage in a small town pride. So I did an opening number in there. I almost did not show up because it was foggy. It was September, and I drove from Sterling to Medicine Hat. That was 2 hours, but I requested them I want to do opening so that I can go and leave and go to my job at 3 p.m. So when I got there at 12 noon, they start the music, and so I did the opening. So Laura was there with Phil, the cameraman, and they start rolling the camera. And then after a month or two, I got a phone call. I got a message from Messenger that he wanted to talk about me, about the possibility of doing a documentary. But I really don't know her, so I was kind of reluctant.
Yeah. Like, who is this person?
Yeah.
Yeah. So how did she describe the documentary that she wanted to make? What kind of conversation did you have at that point?
Well, at first, she doesn't know what to do with it yet. Like, she was just intrigued that there was a Filipino pageant queen here in Alberta that she never knew. Because pageantry is so popular in the Filipino community that we have a Mr. and Miss and Teen and Little Miss Philippines Canada. And then we also we create an event for the LGBTQ+. So the first time I heard that they introduced me in the state Miss Queen Philippines Canada, that's what get her attention. So she want to do something about it. Like, there should be some story behind it. What is it about being a pageant queen or queen Philippine? So that's how she started the conversation. And then she introduced herself that she did work with How to Write Queer, which is I just recently watched that. Also, that's from the Story Hive. And I really love that project and that film that Laura directed. Okay, so you are the director from the How to Write Square. So, okay, fine. So I saw your work. Okay, let's build that rapport so quickly. So yeah. So that's how she introduced herself. And
that's beautiful. Can you imagine if you didn't show up, though, to perform that day? If you're like, it's too foggy, I got to go to work. I'll just won't do it. I mean, we wouldn't have this beautiful film and then, all the adventures that you've had a chance to have as a result. When you were having those first conversations with Laura, what was important for you to have in the documentary? Like, was there anything that you wanted to make sure that Laura presented about your life and the performing you do and the work that you do?
Well, I think the most important thing that really caught my attention is her credibility, like her work. Like when she told me that she's the director of this film, The Queer Had the Rights, and I watched that and read again, and then I read her profile. I Google who is she.
Yeah.
So that's really built a trust on her because you don't want to open yourself to someone that you never know, and then you were newly I think I was just 4 years in Canada. I'm a very permanent resident, and it's not my goal why I came to Canada. Yeah. But as a performer, there is an excitement. Okay, this is interesting. I'd like to perform, and then somebody noticed me from the film industry. Maybe I should give a try, but I want to make sure that this person has a credibility. So, so I do my part. I do my research. Who is this person? What have she done in the film industry? Yeah. Before I completely agree, like, okay, we can start with this project and discuss about it.
Yeah, because you share a lot of your story in the film. It is, not only do you bring us into the drag barn, which I keep talking about because it's so fabulous, but you tell us about the traumas from your childhood and that your grandmother experienced and your great grandmother. Like you share a lot of deeply personal stuff. It's very good that you spoke with Laura to make sure that that you trusted her, with your story. When you were filming, from the time that you were filming, what is your favorite memory from your time filming with Laura?
I really like when we did the trailer when I was dancing with a disc ball.
Mm-hmm.
And she bring me there. She rented the space. They asked me what kind of lights and backdrop. They let me make sure it's like a collaboration, like what the team you would like. So when I get there, the production is waiting for me. I mean, I have my makeup artist, like a cameraman, PAs, and all the people that worked. And I never been in a setup like that.
Wow.
So it really excited me. It made me feel so special. They treated me like a queen.
Well,
And yeah, it was so real.
Yeah.
When they did that. Like, I wish I have more behind the scene photos. I mean, I have so many behind the scene photos, but I wish I have more behind the scene videos, because when I work with Laura, I make sure my phone is away. I don't want to spill it. I don't want to be distracted, so that I have my eyes and ears to her and the cameraman. But put away, I don't do any behind the scene. But it was so beautiful, and it kept in my memory, like the disco ball, the music, the lightning. It's beautiful. It's just like you're making a music video. Yeah. It's one of my favorite. And we did it first before the deep part of my life. So it was like a good warm up for me. Like, okay, welcome home. This is your stay. This is how we're gonna start.
That's beautiful. What a wonderful way to start. That is really beautiful.
So it was so beautiful.
There are some beautiful beautiful scenes of you outdoors in I don't know where you were, but definitely in some beautiful natural setting, and your beautiful costume. Can you tell me about that day in particular? How you and Laura chose that location and what was going through what you wanted to communicate with that, because it's like I'm watching it and I'm like, yeah, Francheska belongs there. Francheska's part of the landscape. That's absolutely beautiful.
Well, I think Laura already have a vision in her mind what's the film gonna look like, because they didn't really tell me what's the title, Prairie Queen.
Yeah.
Like until late, like almost released the film. I don't know what the title, and I don't want to bag her. I just go with the flow. Yeah. So I think Lethbridge is iconic for the bridge, the prairies, and the grass in the in the coulees. So I think that was a perfect place to film that. But also the costume, I wanted something cultural to represent my Filipino part and make it drag, and it just worked perfectly with the landscape when I was walking there, and with the drone and camera, and that. So it's beautiful. Although it was cold, I was freezing at that time. I was freezing, but it's not sunny. It was like a golden light. That's what they said. But it was cold.
Yeah,
the wind is cold because Lethbridge is so windy. But I think the landscape plays a beautiful roles in for that part. But also one of the beautiful scenic that I like when I was wearing a black Filipiniana outfit and I was facing the river. And then they're transitioning it to tell the story about my grandmother, about the river, and then drawn it onto my face. I love that part. I love that cinematography part. Like, it's so dramatic. And then the emotions that they put, that I did not expect that it will, that would be the plan. I just followed the direction that this is the part where you're going to tell the story of your grandma. And then there was a drone on top of you and the water, and they focus on me, and then the wind just worked perfectly on it. And I think the outfit worked also perfectly for the scene. It's like a contrast, like the black in the middle of the prairie, and then there's a water, and then the yellow golden headpiece in the grass. It's just a beautiful collaboration and team up with the production.
Oh, I keep using the word beautiful, but it really is. And you've used the word collaboration a few times. And that's not always the case, right? Between the documentary subject and the documentary filmmaker. It's not always a collaboration where you're working hand in hand, but it definitely feels that in the case of your film, it was a collaboration.
Yeah, I feel like it was a collaboration because Laura makes sure that I'm comfortable with the outfit I'm gonna wear. I feel like the Snapshot studios are they're very respectful with the subject that we're gonna talk and the subject of the person. They want to make sure that you're comfortable with the people you're going to work with, even the makeup artist. Are you sure you're comfortable with this makeup artist? Are you sure you're comfortable with the people that we're gonna hire? And I like that. I appreciate that. And they also give me an options of the outfit. They give me an instruction, and then I will connect to the people that I know from my community. And I said, if I want to bring more costume, I want to make sure it's from the Filipino community. The designer of my black outfit is a trans. The maker of my outfit is an LGBTQ plus, and the owner of the yellow cape is a Filipino transgender woman, a designer. So I want to make sure that it's coming from my community. And the makeup artist who did in the field is a Filipino LGBT members, except for the technical part, because I don't know how to refer. But when it comes to my aesthetic, I want to make sure it's coming from my community, and she agreed with it.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's very nice and very respectful. That's why I love working with Laura and the Snapchat Studios.
Yeah, that's wonderful to hear. So, the film has been, people love this film. People really love this film. I love this film. What do you remember the first time you saw the film? Like, when did you first see it, and what was your first reaction to it?
The first time I saw the film, I was somewhere. I think it was a library in Calgary. It's not yet edited.
Oh, okay.
It's not yet edited. They let me watch it, and then they let me give my insight. So I did a lot of input in there, like even the transitioning and the music. I don't know. I feel like I was co-directing. Like, okay, I watched it, but there's something missing in it.
Yeah.
I love it, but it's still raw. Like, there's no music yet. Like, next edit, it's still like a raw
rough cut. Yeah,
rough. I don't know what you guys call it, but I was very particular with the technical part when I will watch it. Because I already know the story, but I didn't know how they laid it together. Like I don't know how they put it together with all the things that I said. They pick and then they connect it. They're just like they put it together. But I also make sure that, okay, I have my input, and because they allow me, what do you think is needed to be fixed? So my first comment is about the pageantry. I feel like the way you guys cut the pageantry, there was not much a lot of. It was just you just throw it, so you just film it and throw it. I think in this part you can put the swimsuit category, the evening gown, creative fantasy, make it like a slideshow and show the different body and different queens while you're saying it, so that they can see the different. So I tell them. So I think that's the part that you guys need to fix, and also the part that you need to announce the winner. You need to put drama on it to have an element of suspense when the people watch the film, who are the winner and who are the finalists. So I added that part to them. Like, I want to make sure that this scene should be done this way. And the announcement and the music, make it dramatic. Because I'm missing something in it. It's just like bland when I watch it. So that's what I told to her. And I'm glad they listen and they come back to me. I say, okay, that's beautiful. That's perfect.
Yeah. Yeah, it's definitely like that's your world, right? And a big part of it is like how you put it together and the drama and the beauty of it. So that completely makes sense. So when the film though had its premiere and it was finally out there, being seen, by audiences, like what kind of feedback have you received? What feedback means the most to you?
That's another so real feelings and experience I ever had. I would never expect in my life that one day I'll be walking not in the red carpet, but in the rainbow carpet that they provided, and have my name on the screen, and people just coming in. And it was still a pandemic. There was a lot of people bought tickets that did not show up, and we were already giving away some extra seat because it was pandemic. People have some signs and symptoms did not show up.
Yeah.
But the number of people, it was a lot of people. They come in there, and a lot of people said they were emotional. They were crying after watching the film. When they get out the theater, they were crying. They were sad. They're in emotion. These are the feedback that they received. And even after now, when I get around the messages from people or people that watch, I watch your film. It's so beautiful. It's so emotional. It reminds me of my back home. And I learned a lot of things. It's more the emotion. And some people, they said it was a roller coaster film for us. They said they were like, the part that I thought it was just a drag show, but there was more than just a drag show, but it's about your ups and downs, there's comedy part, and then there was some emotion. It was a roller coaster of emotion that they put in there.
Yeah, I mean, because it's life, it's your life, right? It's beautiful and it's tragic and it's everything, all the flavors of life. What do Filipinos have to say, like specifically Filipinos have to say about how, the culture is represented in the film? What have you heard from them?
Actually, I have a lot of mostly great feedbacks from the Filipino community. They talk about how the immigrants' lives, because a lot of Filipino came here as an immigrant, foreign workers, being a breadwinner, and that's what they said. Having a multiple job, healthcare workers, and I'm a healthcare workers, and a lot of Filipino are nurses, healthcare workers. So, and they said, yeah, it's true. It's not easy to work in the healthcare system away from our family and keep supporting and not forgetting where's your roots, where you came from, even if you're already here in Canada. So a lot of Filipino, they love it to be seen, to be heard in the film, that their story also they feel like their story was being told in the big screen, that, they came from a poverty. They cannot just forget their loved ones back home. That's why they have to work so hard to support them. And they also love the fact that I have this, I'm giving back to my parents, because Filipinos are known for being hospitable. We might fight, we might disagree, but we always have that respect to our elderly and our parents. So they really love that representation in the film.
Yeah. Do you see yourself as a role model, or an ambassador, for Filipino culture, for drag culture?
I don't want to put that in my head, because I think that's a lot of responsibility, honestly. I just want to live my life and be myself and enjoy being a performer. However, this is the price of being a queen. Somebody told me that, somebody already told me this. I think you're the second person who did the interview. Do you realize that you have so many things on top of your shoulder, that your crown is not just a crown? You are now representing different areas in your community. You're basically like an ambassador. And I don't want to sink it, but it is now.
Yeah.
It is now. So for me, I have to be careful with what I said. I have to be neutral, but still stick to myself, what I believe.
Yeah.
So that's why I don't want to put that in my head that I'm an ambassador. I just wanna be Kiko in the day and Francheska for art and entertainment.
That's right. That's beautiful. Yeah. Have you heard from anybody who has watched your film and been like, I want to do that too, I want to perform too? Like, have you heard and received any of those kind of messages?
I think there are some. Most of the feedback that I received from a Filipino is like, they said, I was so inspired by your story. Like, your story is so inspiring. They don't want to be exactly what I did as a drag queen, but it's empowered them. Like, because this is just my observation. There's so many Filipino queer in Alberta or in Canada in general. There's so many gay guys, and a lot of them are still in the closet, discreet. And there's so many transgender, they are Filipino transgender, and a lot of them are very visible, they're loud, outspoken, and they're not scared. They're not scared to show their true colors. But on the other side, the gay man, the queer, the gay man, the Filipino gay man, they are the opposite.
Yeah.
Like they're still in the closet, they're still scared. It's because of our culture that's conservative, religion, family, the Christianity and the Catholicism, that, being LGBT is still a no, is still a taboo. So that's what holding them back and keeping hidden in the closet. And you will be surprised that most of these trans and Filipino queer, they still go to church, even if there's so many times we've been condemned by the religious people. So they're not a lot, but there are a handful of Filipino gay men, gay guy, or not out, will reach out to me, and they feel so happy that they watch the film. It gives them like a sense of belonging and encouragement and a power, even if they don't have to show it. And I hope that give them more strength to accept who they are, because it's not fun to hide yourself for a long time. But it's not safe for you. Just keep it that way when you're ready. But the question is how long. So I had a great feedback from them that make them empowered after watching the film. Not to be a queen, but just being a person, just being a part of the queer community.
Yeah, like I said, role model. What about your family in the Philippines? Like, have they watched it? Like, what? And if so, like, what do they think of Francheska Prairie Queen?
My mom already watched it when she came to Canada the second time or the third time around, like 6 months ago, and my brother, they watched it. They really love it. They love it. But my dad and my family back in the Philippines, they haven't watched it. They just watched the trailer. But my mom and my brother, they love it. They're so happy and proud of it.
I'm so happy to hear that. I can't imagine like being a parent and not being proud, to see my child just shining, in that kind of way. Francheska, how has telling your story in this film changed you?
I think after while we are in the middle of the filmmaking, there are some questions that I asked to my father, and those questions really answers some of the questions that I have in my childhood when I grew up with my grandma. And this is the part where something to do with my grandmother's side, when her dad was abducted by a Japanese soldier. Because I do remember when I was in grade school, my grandmother talked about the Japanese war, and I have no interest because I was in grade school that time. So when I learned the history about what happened to her, it's opened my mind and my heart and my understanding, because she was so abusive to me. The way she disciplined me, she would beat me up, like, use a belt, a buckle belt to discipline me. And then I watched my 5 or 6 years old brother also being beat up and disciplined by my grandmother. And, some punishment. And I didn't know why she does it. She's so terror. And that when my dad told me when we were filming this, because I asked about the part of my grandma on her side, my dad told me that it was my Filipino step-great-grandfather that was kidnapped by a Japanese soldier for 4 years. And while her wife, which is my great-grandmother, was at home, was abused by a Japanese soldier, and that abuse produced a daughter, which is my grandmother. So it makes sense to me that why my grandmother was abused, because she grew up with trauma, she grew up with abuse. And then when his Filipino stepfather, come home after the war, see a daughter, a 4-year-old, it was so disappointing that you get pregnant by our enemy. So my grandmother grew up without love and care, and she also grew up with verbal abuse from his stepfather.
Yeah.
My step Filipino great grandfather became alcoholic from the trauma. So it makes sense to me. So it changed my mind and my heart that, okay, trauma is real, and my grandmother suffered a lot, and my family's been through a lot during the Japanese War. And that's why I said in my film before that whatever they've been through has nothing to what I have been through. So I'm so lucky and grateful that I don't have to live in that kind of generation.
Yeah.
And also during my pageantry, I raise awareness about war, which is timely relevant right now. What's happening? That war is one of the most disgusting thing that the humanity have ever created. It's no one's win in the war, and it just destroys people's life and culture.
Yeah. And as you say, it ripples down through the generations as well. But how powerful and wonderful it is so that now you understand, you know why she was the way that she was. And so you can maybe heal some parts in yourself that were hurt. I mean, that's very powerful. Francheska, we are nearing the end of our time together today. So for my final question, how would you like people to feel as the end credits are rolling on Francheska Prairie Queen? What conversations would you like them to have? What feelings would you like to inspire?
I would like the people to realize that life is too short, that life is such a short journey, that there will be some struggles will come into our life, that it's okay to make a mistake, to have a failure, but don't stay there too long. You need to give up. You need to get up and keep fighting. Yeah. And you need to spend more quality time with your chosen family and loved ones. Let's remove this kind of division that we have, such as what's happening in our politics, because it doesn't, for me, in my opinion, in my observation, as a person who lived in this country for 14 years and compared the culture I have in the Philippines, I work in a nursing home. A lot of our elderly people in the nursing home they really don't care about the property that they have, the money, the education, the degree. When you come to the point when you get old, you have dementia, you are alone and lonely, you will remember either the most beautiful thing that happened in your life or the most traumatic thing that happened in your life. That's why a lot of people in the nursing home facility, they want to get out and see their family. They don't care about their money. They don't care about their job. So while we're still young and able, we need to enjoy our life. So we care about this. I mean, not completely forget, be aware, be vigilant, but don't bring your politics on your table. Don't bring it to your family. Don't bring it to your family dining that create division. It's just useless for me. This politician, this thing that going in our society, they don't really care when it comes to our lives, when it comes to our family, culture. And I wish it's not too late for Canadian people to come together, to reconnect to one another, because this life is just too short. Enjoy it. Go out, enjoy, live your life.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, Francheska, salamat po.
You're welcome.
And thank you for listening to and watching the TELUS Originals Doc Talks. And a big special, extra special big thank you to our guest, Francheska Dynamites. Watch TELUS Originals documentaries at TELUS Optik TV, Channel 8, and watch.telusoriginals.com, and follow us at TELUS Originals on Instagram. Doc Talks are a production of TELUS Originals. This episode was produced by Sharon Bradley with technical support by Matt Waterworth. Ken Soy is the production executive for TELUS Originals Doc Talks. Doc Talks are produced on the traditional and unceded territory of the Musqueam, Squamish, and Tsleil-Waututh Nations. The viewpoints expressed in this podcast do not necessarily reflect those of TELUS.